Hello, friends. Crystal Joy of CJoyYoga. And just a quick little ditty here in the beginning. Every once in a while, I just like to remind you that the more you like and share these with other people in your community, the more visible they become, so they're more accessible. And that's really one of my main goals. Yeah, if you want to give me a donation or get on to patreon.com/CJoyYoga and support me financially, that's amazing. Then I can keep doing what I love to do, which is to try to make these practices, these healing and health and wellness practices, available to as many people as possible. So, if you have the time and you wouldn't mind, maybe take a moment, write a review, share it, like it, all of the things. This week, we are getting into the abductors, AB. They're those outer hips, is what I'll refer to them a lot as, and the hugging of the outer hips in. We hear that cue sometimes, and it's like, huh? How do we find those muscles? So that's what we're going to play with today. So go ahead and start lying down on your back. You'll need a strap, but not yet, if that makes sense. And then go ahead and just come into either constructive rest pose, right? Feet on the ground, feet wide, knees leaning, or extend your legs out to straight and have your feet about hip distance. And just pause for a few moments right here. We won't be here for long, but I still love to start with beginning awareness just so we start to drop in to our own internal experience before we move the body too much, right? Notice anything that is happening. That might be just the sensations, pain and numbness, those kinds of things often dominate. So if you do have any of that going on, make sure you check into the parts that don't have any pain. Tension, soften what you can. And also, that subtle body work of noticing our energy, both energy level, we have a lot of energy, no energy, anywhere in between, but also, pardon me, so sorry, maybe feeling like we're a little lethargic or like we feel like a puddle on the floor and we don't want to move, or maybe we're having a really hard time sitting still and we're feeling really fidgety or restless, and anything else that might come into play. Tune into the breath for just a couple of breaths here. Soft belly breath. If anyone wants to add in the Ujjayi, if that's your practice, please do. I'm not going to teach it today per se. And then I'm going to have you roll onto your left. Well, actually, let's do windshield wiper first. Let's go ahead and put our feet on the ground, walk the feet wide, knees wide, arms cheat out, and let your knees go over to the right. On an exhale, you'll inhale them up, and then when you do exhale, exhale them to the left. So find your own timing, slow, steady breath, and just let those legs move with the breath back and forth a few times. Head may turn the opposite way, it might not. And let's just wake up this body. I was going to bring you to strength right away, but let's do at least one little opener here. The next time your legs are to the right, leave them over to the right. It's really simple. Your feet don't move, they stay exactly where they are. But let your left knee just really gently reach forward towards that front right corner of your room, whatever that means to you. And hopefully the front of your left hip opens, maybe a little bit through the side of the hip or the low back or some such thing. Come back up and over. And again, when your knees get to the left, the feet do not move. I say that because I see it every day that I try to teach it with groups. Let that right knee gently reach forward. My right hip kind of moves a little further to the left, right? And I open up the front of my right hip. It's not a huge move, but boy, do I love this one. And then come on back to center. Let's walk our feet in. Bring the right knee in and give it a little hug. Interlace behind the thigh, reach the heel up and circle the toes a little bit and other way. And then push the heel up and do a little push-pull between your thigh and your hands for that isometric action. Bring that right foot down. Bring the left knee in, give it a little hug. Interlace behind that thigh and push the heel on up to the sky. Let's circle our toesies on the left side, other direction. And then come back through center, heel pushes up, thigh pushes forward into hands, and the hands gently pull back. Take a second there and bring that foot down. Now let's roll on to our left side bodies, or right, but I'm going to speak to the left. You're going to try to make the shape of an arrow today, right? And that said, I've got lots of modifications. If your hip hurts, simply put a blanket down that goes under the length of most of the body, and that should give you enough cushion. Now, the shoulder doesn't like this, put a block under there and have your arm in front of you, right? If you're feel really imbalanced or like you need to bend that bottom knee a little bit for a little extra balance, please feel free, right? If you do have the leg fully extended, you're going to try to use your left fingers and that pinky toe on the left foot to push down. Find your 1, 2, 3. If you're not familiar, I did classes about that a couple months ago for about a month, right? So your adductors, pelvic floor, and your low belly. And see if that right hand, and I'm not mirroring today, I'm realizing, sorry, that right hand can come up on the hip. And if you can try to maintain your balance, you might be wobbly. Wobbly is fine. You're finding the balance, right? But try not to fall. Most of us would fall backwards. In this one, some of us would fall forwards and breathe. Now I can leave my hand there or I can bring it down. More important than the balance to me is trying to get into this abductor, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to lift the right leg without letting that right hip move back at all. And then go ahead and bring that down. So don't worry about how high you get. Inhale, just imagine that every time you lift that right leg, if you keep the pelvis neutral, and I'm putting my hands on it, the abductor is shortening and contracting to lift the leg, right? You don't get more points if you do more of these. And contrary to popular belief, that's one way to work. It's not the only way to work, right? Working slow and on the breath also brings us into that relaxed response through the body where we have our digestion and the healing and the building of new tissues. So that's where I tend to work from, especially in my yoga, right? The next time you're up, stay up. And these pulses are so small I can barely see them. You're pulsing up to the ceiling on 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg down, bend your knees a little bit, and roll onto your back. And just pause. Notice what you notice. Hopefully, maybe what I'm calling just a little bit of warmth is happening in your outer right hip. And then you're going to roll onto your right side body. I'm going to flip my body because looking at the back side of my body ain't going to give you much information. Again, support your head, bend your bottom knee if you need to, whatever the things are. But if you can, come into the shape of an arrow, right? And I'm going to push down through my right fingertips and my right pinky toe edge, or at least the pinky toe part of it, and palm out. And then I'm going to find my 1, 2, 3, right? My deepest core stabilizers. And I'm going to see if I can bring my left hand up on my hip. Now, I might leave my left hand up there. I might bring it down. Again, the most important thing is not balance for this piece. It's the stability of the pelvis. So when you lift your left leg up, don't let the hip move back, if you can help it, right? And bring that back down. It's not wrong. It's just a different group of muscles. So every time you lift that leg, if you keep that hip in its neutral place where we started, you're going to shorten and contract the abductor in order to lift that leg. And so you really get a sense, we're going to strengthen it, right? But really what I'm going for here is I want you to be able to feel those muscles and get a sense of them in your body because we're going to use them, right? The next time you come on up, pause, and then pulse up to the ceiling on 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that down and go ahead and roll onto your belly this time. So from your belly, stack your hands or your forearms and bring your forehead down. Pause for just a second. Let everything be nice and soft. Okay, bring your hands next to your low floating ribs and inhale up into low cobra. Feet push down, thighs lift, tailbone down, belly lifts, all the usual suspects, right? The upper shoulders, that area between the shoulders, is going to gently contract to lift the upper body. So we know cobra. Now we're going to add a little piece in where we're going to zip into the midline, right? So you can bring your forehead down a little bit or even onto the floor. And you're going to try to zip your legs up. And try to see if you can get the ball mounds of the big toes to touch or the big toes themselves, depending on your feet, right? And then don't just push in at the feet. See if those outer hips, those abductors, if that can hug into the midline, if your thighs can hug into the midline. Remember, the midline is the line, that imaginary line runs down your body from the top of your head to your toes, dividing you into a right side and a left side. Now inhale up into low cobra while pushing down. Get those pinky toes heavy. We tend to squish the inner butt. That is not the abductors, that's the gluteals, right? Exhale, come on down, and there is a difference, right? And inhale again, hug your outer hips in as you lift up into your low cobra. And exhale down. Now straighten your arms by your side with your palms down next to your thighs-ish, something like that, different proportions, different things. And go ahead and inhale, push down into your hands, lift your upper body like we just did. Hands and arms are just in a different position. Keep your legs zipped up, keep the low belly pulling up so you stay out of your low back stays long, and see if you can lift your legs, right? Lift them from the thigh bones, the heaviest part of the thighs, and then hug your outer hips in. Again, you can tell if it's the gluteals instead that you're using, and don't use those, because you would rotate your inner groin down to the ground and your toes would turn out. Your pinky toes would move up to the ceiling. So get your pinky toes heavy, your inner groin roll up to the sky. Hug your outer hips in. And exhale, come down. Maybe arms in that crocodile shape where your hands stack and your forehead comes down. Or your forearms. The traditional crocodile, the forearms are crossed, but for most people, it's more accessible for shoulders to just stack the hands. Breathe in. Breathe in, breathe in. Okay. Bring your hands next to your side waist. Curl your toes under, push your heels back and your crown of your head forward and get as long as you can through your whole body. Now find your 1, 2, 3. I'm going to bring my knees down because I can't do a full push-up this morning, I don't think. Move the elbows in with good form, right? And I'm going to try to not to hurt my low back. So go ahead and straighten your arms. That might be a full push-up or a half push-up. And let's make our way back to downward facing dog. It's that season where if you have socks on, you might take them off at this point in time. Starting to have cold mornings here in Walla Walla. It's still delightful. Maybe you move around a little bit in your downward dog. Maybe you don't. And then come back to center. We're going to go ahead and walk our hands back to our feet this first round. Hands on shins, reach the chest forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, your arm variation of choice. Come all the way up. And let's meet with our arms by our side wherever we just were. Here's where the strap comes into play. So grab your strap. And you can make the loop first and then step into it. I also work a lot with people who have a hard time with balance, so I find it easier to just bring it around me. I have my metal straps in one hand, my metal hinges, D-ring system. You might already know it. You go through both rings with the tail end. Then you go separate them. Go over the last one, under the first one, and that's going to give you something you can tighten which doesn't loosen. Now, placement on the hips, right? Don't get too tight yet. It's a specific place, you know me. I'm going to move my black shirt up so you can see where I'm putting the strap. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten it in just a little bit so I don't have to hold on to it and it's not sliding around in my body, right? And then I'm going to bend my knees a little bit. And with my knees bent, I can feel that kind of crease in that place where when I was lifting my leg out to the side, that muscle was contracting. So when I find that place, the crease of the hips, I'm going to tighten that strap in. And we're going to move a little bit. So I'm going to feed it around my body and I'm going to tuck it in somewhere so I don't have that tail hanging down upon which I could trip or hurt myself. So it's something like this. And I want you to notice there's your true waist or natural waist, which is probably about your navel or above. For most of us, it's the place that comes in the most, right? And then you have your as is bones, the very top of the iliac spine. And then where we're working today, the crease of the hips. Boop. Okay, so coming up to the top of your mat, Standing in Tadasana. You can feel that strap. I want you to put a little extra mental effort into trying to find those muscles we worked with on the ground, right, on our side body. And I want you to see if you can hug them in. And again, I know I'm being specific about this, but again, it's because I see the pattern over and over. You don't want to do your gluteals. I'll come a little closer, right? You don't want to do your gluteals where you're squeezing the bum in and then you're thrusting the thighs forward, right? Your feet want to go out duck footed. And there's all kinds of things about this, but the main thing I'll point out is the compression that happens through the low back and the possibility of pinching the nerves that go down, especially the sciatica, right? It's not terrible to squeeze your inner bum every once in a while, but not as a pattern that you do for strength and stability, I don't think. And so I'm going to try to hug my outer hips, and I might even put my hands on that strap too and give a little push in from the side of my body, right? And then let the arms come back down. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. And exhale, bend the knees a little bit and fold in. You might not go as far with this strap, and that's okay. Don't let it move around too much, right? Inhale, reach the chest forward, hug those outer hips in, right? Exhale, soften in, especially when you come up. Really tune into the abductors, right? Hug the outer hips in, push the heels down. Still yes, your pelvic floor and all the things as you come up, of course, right? And exhale. We're adding another layer to that. Bring the arms down. So this time we're going to go back to top of a push-up and do a sun salutation A. We're going to hold the top of a push-up for a second. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. Hug your outer hips in. Feel what that does in the pelvis and the low belly. Exhale, softening in. Inhale, reach that chest forward, right? And then bend your knees and plant your hands. If you need to do a few steps to get back with this strap, it's kind of awkward. I know, me too, right? But I'm going to end up in the top of a push-up high plank. Now, can you hug your outer hips in? Don't let your inner groin go down or let your pinky toes get light, right? Keep your pinky toes heavy, inner groin reach up, and the outer hips do the hugging. And then come forward on your tippy toes. If you need your knees down, take them down. Otherwise, right here, bend the elbows by the side and come down through your push-up with that extra piece of support today, the outer hips. Inhale up into low cobra. If you want upward dog, I'm not going to take it away from you, but come back down because we're going to reverse our push-up. Curl the toes under, like we did earlier. Crown of the head forward, heels back, right? Pull the low belly up and get that low back long. Find your pelvic floor, your adductors. And then add in the abductors, outer hips hug in where that strap is. Feel free to put the knees back down, straighten the arms, and I come up like a wooden plank, not like a snake, and I make my way back in a downward facing dog. Now, even in downward dog today, I'd love you to try to just play with this idea of hugging the outer hips in, right? And everything else that we often do, anything you can think of anyway. Take a breath. This time we're going to come forward, love bugs. Come up on your tippy toes, bend your knees, look forward. You might step, you might jump forward to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Hug your outer hips in, especially here as you come on up. And exhale, bring those arms out and down. So one more thing, and then we'll take the strap off and I'll disreveal my body, right? But I think it's helpful to see. It was always helpful for me. I had Iyengar teachers, and they had pretty revealing clothes on, so you could see their muscles and what their body was doing. And I found it just so helpful. If I hug my outer hips in, I want you to kind of look at this belly part. I have extra these days, right? And as the outer hips hug in, so my shape is I tend to go forward and kind of do what I call copper tone baby belly, right? And if I move those outer hips in and I hug my abductors in, it starts to naturally kind of help that corset move in, right? That helps my body come up. I'm not moving back and pushing my belly back, right? I'm not compressing anything. There's just a support system that starts to come in at the outer hips and it kind of all the way around. It just helps with, I always think of it as kind of feeling like it's a lifting sensation. Take your strap off or don't. You can leave it on this whole time if you're like, wow, I'm finding some really interesting stuff. Like keep working with the strap. Put it on days I'm not teaching it. Put it on when you do long drives. It's a SI joint stabilizer when you do that. When I do long drives at this point, I always wear that around my pelvis. I don't know about always. I try to. Boy, is my pelvis and low back feel so much better on the other side. Stand at the front of the mat again and imagine Or try to find those muscles without the help of the strap and hug your outer hips. And again, you'll know that you're doing the buttocks if you feel that thrust forward through that groin area. No squeezing the inner bum, outer hips in, it's a different thing. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. Feel that lift, hopefully. Exhale, folding in. And, as always, some things are some people's tools and not others. Inhale, reach that chest forward. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step, step, top of a push up here. Don't let your pinky toes get heavy and your inner groin rotate down. Keep your inner groin rotating up, but hug your outer hips in and feel if that doesn't help you find some of your corset, right? Amplify pelvic floor and corset, and then come forward on tippy toes. Put knees down or not. Bend elbows, they brush the side. Shoulder heads lift. Inhale up. If you want a low cobra, upward dog, low cobra or upward dog, you can take an upward dog. And then this time you can use your you can come back down and reverse through a push-up, or you can just come on up. Let's meet in downward facing dog. In downward dog, again, bend the knees a little bit. Just get some of those hamstrings and other muscles out of the way, right? And hug your outer hips in. Try to find your corset. And then from there, straighten the legs any amount. Put your knees down wide, your big toes to touch, or towards each other anyway. Forehead down, let your arms rest. Take a break. Body soft. If you'd rather have your arms by your side, any arm position, I'll say, right? So whatever arm position feels right in your body. Now, if you have time and you want to go onto your back and take a few moments, please do. Otherwise, push the floor away and come on up into your upright posture. That can be sitting cross-legged or kneeling. And again, if this is making any kind of sense to you, it took me a little bit to be able to find this, and I worked with the strap a lot in the beginning, right? I was so used to gripping my buttocks, and then I wondered why I had sciatica and low back issues and all kinds of things. It wasn't the only thing, but it was part of the puzzle, right? So wherever you are, whatever position you're in your upright posture, like close your eyes like we normally do, ending awareness, and don't do this fast, and don't do this hard. Really slowly, really gently try to hug your abductors and your outer hips in, right? See if that doesn't help you find a more neutral pelvis in that upright posture. That correlates to potentially a longer spine, right? Less compression of the discs in the spine and so on. If it doesn't make sense, let it go. Hands in front of your heart, inhale. As you bow your head in, just taking a moment of gratitude, and may we learn to step into our power so that we can help those around us and ourselves in doing so, right? All beings everywhere. Namaste. May you be well, friend. May all beings everywhere be well. No exceptions. Not one. That's what compassion is.